Hello everyone, this is HuskyStarcraft here, back with some more StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm action. This time is going to be between Stephano up in the top left side, and down the bottom right side is going to be his opponent, Lowko, as the other blue Zerg player. So it is going to be a ZvZ, one of the matchups I haven't seen all that much in Heart of the Swarm. I honestly don't know too much about the metagame for this matchup, just because players tend not to send me mere matchup replays because they tend to be kind of weird. So Lowko is the player who has sent me this replay, and we'll see exactly how it shapes up. I gotta say, Lowko, pretty awesome. He has sent me some replays in the past. I think I have a couple of them on my channel, if I'm not mistaken, although I've cast over 2,000 games on my channel, so it's kind of hard to keep track of exactly how many I have indeed cast. But anyway, ZvZ, kind of curious to see how this shapes up. Not sure if we're going to be seeing Swarm Hosts, Infestors, Mutalisks. Not really sure what the unit of choice is. Probably won't be seeing, I'm trying to take a look at these larvae to see exactly what the options are. I don't think we're really going to be seeing Vipers, but we could still see every single other unit I think is going to be viable. I really don't think the Viper has much room in this matchup, but you got to remember that the Infestor has been nerfed pretty severely, so using them versus Mutalisks is very tough. Now, we used to see a lot of players go for tons of Mutas, and then the counter to that would be lots of Infestors, but I don't know what to expect here. Sometimes I will be, well, always, not sometimes, but I will be the first to admit when I don't understand exactly what's going to happen, and in this game, I have no idea. So it is time to sit back, take your socks off, unless you're in a freezing place that's like negative 100 degrees right now, and enjoy some awesome ZvZ. I gotta say, Lowko's gonna have one hell of a time going up against the player Stephano. Most of you know Stephano, one of the best players in the world, one of the best Zergs in the world, and the most successful player who is not a Korean. I believe overall he is the 4th most successful StarCraft 2 player of all time. He is a former Warcraft player. If I remember correctly, he was human, which I am good at forgetting things, but I believe he is human in Warcraft 3. My apologies if I do have that incorrect, just trying to remember off the top of my head. But he has been playing professional games his entire life since he was a kid, and here he is now being one of the best players in the world. Very easy to be a fan of Stephano or to completely hate Stephano. He's a little bit cocky, he's a little bit full of himself, but he is super French, which makes him immediately lovable. So either way, kind of curious to see exactly how this plays out. You can see Stephano has his spawning pool about a third way done, as Lowko opted to go ahead and get his first, which means he will have the earlier queen. But this is completely standard stuff. Neither player going for a super all-in rush or anything like that. Of course, they are sending out the Overlords there, as they do tag team on their way to each other's main bases. There they go. They wish that they could kill each other, but at the end of the day, it's just 2 Overlords, you know, and it's a forbidden love, but at the same time, it is a beautiful, beautiful love. So we do have the expansion now going to be up for Stephano. Again, the timing of it's going to be a little bit earlier than Lowko, just because he has his own expansion, not quite done yet. And the metabolic boost is on the way here relatively early for Lowko, so he is going to be able to catch up. You know, he's going to have a slight tank advantage there, be able to catch up with his opponent's lings, be able to get that map control, grab those watchtowers, potentially do counterattacks. And I would say almost most importantly, since it doesn't look like he's going all in by any means on the amount of lings that he is currently producing, the scouting that you can get off with speedlings is actually quite absurd. They move so quickly that there's almost nothing that can stop them unless you have that ramp completely walled in. And with the Zerglings moving out right now, the timing of this might actually be perfect to scout up there, and might also be able to hurt a couple of Stephano's lings. But remember, it's Stephano. His micro is insane. He's going to keep every single Zergling alive as he possibly can, as long as he possibly can. Look at this, even microing the weakened Zerglings there as they limp around, because you got to remember, it's not so much about the amount of Zerglings you have. It really comes down to the larva. So if you lose those 2 lings, you might have to make another pair in the future, which means 1 less drone, which is, you know, you're delaying your buildings, yada, yada, yada. So it's really about larva management. And I guess Lowko is going to be relatively aggressive here with the Zergling count, as he is going to be making a lot here. And this is something that can be extremely difficult for Zerg players who are not prepared to hold off. Although, guess what? Stephano is prepared. It is not like that old WoW cinematic that said you are not prepared, because he is. He's got the Spine Crawlers, he's got the Queens on the ramp. Those lings trying to run around, but that's not going to happen. Looks like one Spine Crawler will get taken out. The other Spine Crawler not going to be able to defend it here. So a lot of free damage being dealt to that Spine Crawler, but with 3 Queens and a lot of lings for Stephano here, I think he will hold on, but can he keep the Queens alive? They're so low on HP. Not sure if there's enough for a transfuse. 1 Queen goes down, the other Queen falls as well. And honestly, the fact that he killed, God, that was like a blood fountain over there. The fact that he was able to kill those 2 queens is exactly what made this even out in the units lost. Otherwise, it would have been a completely one-sided slaughter fest. But you also got to remember right now that Stephano's sitting on 26 drones. That's 9 more drones than his opponent right now, which means he is in really, really good shape, which also means that Lowko is gonna, well, he's gonna be Lowko if he keeps trying this attack without it working. So he needs to make more drones right now. He needs to force Stephano to make more lings, make more sunken spine crawlers, sunken colonies, or brood war. And I was actually thinking about brood war the other day. That game is so freaking fun. Kind of miss playing that a little bit, but with Heart of the Swarm coming out, man, there's just so many versions of StarCraft, I don't know which one to play. But regardless, we have a lot of lings on the field now for Lowko. He needs to make sure, though, just to keep making drones. That's going to be the only way he can catch up. He needs to try and use his Zergling advantage to delay his opponent's expansion and then get up his own third. I think that's going to be the only way he can actually get himself ahead in this game, because right now he is not going to win versus 4 spines, 2 queens, actually a total of 4 at that expansion, and I believe he has one in the main base somewhere. Maybe not. He'll waddle it back there to inject larva once he needs it, but it's really going to come down to the drone count right now and when can he expand. Looks like the worker count overall is getting relatively even here, as Lowko is able to scare Stephano a little bit into making more units and making more defenses than he would have liked in a normal game. Have the Overlord race back to the main base. Nice little concave established here with these lings. That actually denies all scouting, I believe. Yeah, looking around, no scouting links are going to get through there, so the full map control is going to give Lowko the confidence he needs to either tech up or macro up. It's going to be completely up to him, and right now we do see the Baneling Nest on the way, and Lair Tech looks like it's going to be down at the natural over here. Yes, it is, so he's going to be going for that, and Baneling Nest on the way. There's the 1 spine crawler there, and remember, it's kind of tough for him to scout exactly what Stephano is doing right now, because without an Overseer, he can't really tell what's going on. I don't think he has an Overseer on the field. Neither player does. About an equal amount of workers on the field right here. A couple lings trying to rush past. They do spot the double Evo chambers. That is a big tell, because look, he knows that that's 2 more drones on the Evo chambers plus the 4 spine crawlers. That's going to be 6 workers invested just in that. So he's got to know that he's not that far behind in workers. Going to be poking these rocks down to death. He's maybe a little bit worried about a massive counterattack. Perhaps the Lair Tech could be kicking in right now if he's not too careful. So he's going to fall back with these units, just kind of scouting around, making sure there's nothing on the field that he doesn't know about. Now, it is kind of interesting, honestly, that he's scouting around like this with Zerglings, because you got to remember, in this matchup, there's really not that much hidden stuff that a Zerg player can do because you're limited by your creep. So the fact of the matter is that there's not really going to be a whole lot of stuff going on back here. But hey, the more scouting you can do, the better. Maybe you're going to be seeing a drop. Maybe you're going to be seeing something else. It does look like the patrol has been established for these lings. They're going to be running back and forth there, trying to deny the scouting. Notice how he's running them under the Overlord, though, which is kind of an interesting touch there. Kind of curious to see exactly what that's about. Stephano's Overseer, though, is ready to go. Going to be morphing and running that through the main base up to the natural, and may spot that third base as well, because look at this. Lowko actually delaying the expansion. The Extractor going to save this drone for now. But either way, that is going to be delaying that base. And look at Stephano's income. It's basically bringing him to a lot of resources here, which means he wants to have that expansion right away. So delaying it even for a second is worth it, because the expansion for Lowko right now is actually ahead. So he did use that Zergling advantage to his favor. And what do we got going down over here with the Overseer scouting out, taking a little bit of damage, but most likely not going to get taken out by the Queens. He will spot the timing of the expansion. He's not going to be too thrilled about that. Did he spot the Spire? No, he did not. That Overseer only seeing half of the base, not doing a very good job of overseeing what his opponent is doing. So these Mutalisks will come as a complete surprise, I believe, unless Stephano just has a really good read on the amount of units that he's seeing on the field. Roach Warren now on the way for Stephano. The Roach Warren really at this point is just kind of a backup thing, where if he needs a lot of roaches really quickly, he can get them, but doesn't necessarily need to make them for his army. He is going to go ahead and go for Enduring Locust right now. Not the best upgrade versus Mutalisks, although the Mutalisks are going to go straight for the Overseer. Not quite sure why, as they could just fly out directly across the map. I think he's just going to go for the Overlords here. He's not really relying on taking his opponent by surprise. Instead, he's relying more on supply blocking Stephano. Although there's one thing about Stephano, is that he does not get supply block. I think it's 140 available supply, and he's only used 91 supply. So that means he's going to have to kill a lot of Overlords here to actually supply block his opponent. And look at this, Stephano does have time now to throw down these Spore Crawlers. Although Stephano is making 7 Spores. That is 7 less drones that he will have, although still managing to keep that substantial drone lead, just because the amount of units that Lowko is making, he hasn't been able to get a huge macro lead. But still, having that third base is quite nice. We'll take a look at the income tab right now. Even though he's got less workers, his income is relatively even to Stephano, although Stephano is pulling out a slight edge. Here comes the Mutalisk now inside the main base, and Enduring Locust almost done. We'll see if he decides to go for Pathogen Glands right away, which I'm actually not sure what his plan is for that infestation. But I mean, right now he's continuing to get more and more of the swarm host, which is still surprising to me because again they don't really do anything versus Mutalisk. I think going for the infestor would be the more standard tech path of choice, but it does look like these spore crawlers burrowing just in time to relocate themselves to defend those drones. A couple of queens are here. Remember that queens do benefit from the range upgrade and are also the armor. I think that's something that players forget because drones and, well, basically drones, they benefit from the armor, but they don't benefit from the attack upgrade. And so I think a lot of players forget, hey, queens can actually be upgraded and they can actually be potent in the later stage of the game. Now, Stephano is going to be throwing down lots of spines here. Does manage to kill off one of the swarm hosts there. Does he have, I don't think he has detection to kill off more. He's just going to go straight for the attack right now. He's got tons of Mutalisk. 11 drones going to be following this up. So he's doing the classic attacking while also macroing in a big way on the back of it. Usually it's going to be an expansion, which is actually what we do see him doing here. So being aggressive, expanding behind it is kind of like StarCraft 101. It's a lot easier said than done, though. And with these Mutalisks, he's going to have to watch out for that Patching Glands upgrade. He's going to have to watch out for the Infestors, which are about to pop, because as soon as they pop, the fun does stop for those Mutalisks, because one fungal can end your world and just wreck your life, because losing all those Mutalisks is not a good situation to find yourself in. Although I will say somehow Lowko is way ahead in money. Or not in money, but in supply, while Stephano has too much money for his own good. Looks like he may end up losing his Evo Chamber seconds before it finishes. The Transfuse is coming out, though. Not sure if the Mutalisks are going to get this or not. It's so close. Best Transfuse going down, and the upgrade does finish right at the very last second. +3 has started, although losing it at this point is not nearly as big of a deal as it would have been. And you can see right there the Locust just going out, and the Mutalisks getting fake free kills here. Because these are, I mean, I think they technically count as kills, but it's not enough to really make it matter, because what he needs to do is kill his entrance. Oh, the fungals right there are going to be taking out a lot of the Mutos. He might actually kill all the Mutos here if he's not careful. Notice how these ones on the right side, though, trying to take out the Infestors, but oh my god. Oh my god, 6,000 resources there lost by Stephano. Now, one thing I want to say there is that Stephano in Heart of the Swarm has been kind of known for playing a very turtle style of Zerg. This is so weird. Definitely unorthodox. I mean, there was a phase in the metagame where Turtle Zerg versus Zerg was common, but, ZvZ has always been the least turtly game, or the least turtly matchup in the game, I would say. Maybe PvP, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say, but you don't normally see Zerg players turtle this hard. You see them try and win with big macro plays, big timing attacks, big unit composition wins. But right now, I mean, Stephano's just going for the spines, he's going for the spores, and he's going for the creep spread with those queens. He's got a lot of queens on the field, and again, playing that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle power style where you just sit back and defend. And so far, it's worked out great for him, able to kill off those Mutas. I don't know if going for more Mutas is a great choice here for Lowko, but he does have quite a few on the field. He's just got to watch out for those fungals. The Infestor's not going to be able to catch up. If these are microed perfectly, then those Infestors are going to be running around all day. But really what Stephano needs to do is start his creep spread as best as he possibly can, because he needs to be able to run around quickly to defend versus those Mutalisks. Whether it's the Queens, whether it's the Infestors, even Hydras could be involved. It doesn't really matter. Either way, he does need the creep, or even moving the Spore Crawlers there to try and deal with those Mutalisks. He needs that creep. A lot of what he's doing right now is relying on the creep. Now, you do have 199 supply, although Lowko is going for some roaches here. Not quite sure what the point of this is, because they're not going to be able to do all that much, although it looks like it's going to be some sort of timing attack right now, and it does look like those Infestors playing a dangerous game there, as they could have got taken out, and the Zerglings trying to hide themselves from the Locust there. I'm not sure if the Zerglings are going to be able to attack anywhere useful, though, because look at that, a wall of spine crawlers. This is like a wall from Magic the Gathering, man. This is going to be doing lots of damage. Not going to be able to deal with that. And again, Stephano, his turtle style is almost impossible to deal with quickly, let alone deal with it in a late macro game. It does look like the Mutos right there are going to get grabbed, and goodbye, Mutos. It has been great knowing you, but you are all going to die. Stephano's not going to allow those ones to escape, continually chaining those fungals. Keep in mind that fungal growth does have a casting animation, so it takes a while for the fungal to actually land, but he's got to stop making those Mutas. He's got to switch to something else. I'm also afraid to look at the units lost here. 2,500 to 9,300. I gotta say though, Lowko's got a lot of money, and he's got an expansion up on, I believe, up on Stephano. You can see the one down here trying to get up and running though, which it finally will here. But taking a look at the income tab right now, you can see an advantage in the gas income for Lowko over Stephano, and honestly, gas is the name of the game right now. Look at both these Zerg players having difficulty spending all of their minerals because they have too little gas. And Lowko continuing to go for, it looks like Roach Hydra Zergling right now. A very interesting choice, as Roach Hydra is actually really, really good in all the matchups currently, just because of the changes to the Hydralisk, making them move quicker off of creep has just made all the difference. So we'll see exactly how that shapes up here moving forward, but that's a pretty standard Zerg composition right there. We don't see any Swarm Hosts, we don't see any Vipers, and we don't see any Broodlords, but where we do see Broodlords is over at Camp Stephano, as he is going to be morphing in some Broodlords behind his lines here, and I gotta say Broodlord's an excellent choice, especially if your opponent is going very little anti-air. Goodbye Mutalisk, those are going to get chain fungled to death as well, not even worth keeping them at this point, honestly, as he needs to figure out how to deal with those Broodlords. I mean, you can try and go for a brute force play, where you just go for lots of units and you kind of ignore the Broodlords themselves, or you got to get out Corruptors to deal with it. Mutalisks are obviously not going to be working at this stage of the game. There's too much Fungals, too much anti-air between the Spores, Queens, Corruptors, and Fungals, and Infested Terrans. That is just way too much for the Mutalisk to be that effective. There's going to be the Muscular Augments coming down here for Lowko. So even though Lowko has been behind for a lot of this game, and in a big, big way, you know, he is able to consistently get maxed out, but the difference is that Stephano is going for a more slow max out. What that means is he's able to get up the Swarm Hosts, he's able to get the Broodlords and the Infestors, because he's getting maxed out very slowly. Because of course those units cost much, much more than a Roach, because as Zerg, the easiest way to get maxed out is just make lots of Roaches. We've seen Stephano get maxed out at the 10/11 minute mark, and is able to do that. That's more of a Protoss build. Don't really see that in ZvZ all that much, but either way, it does look like the attack is going to be moving out right now for Lowko. Although again, with Stephano turtling like this, what are you supposed to do? The only option is to Nidus Worm, but you got to remember that where can you put a Nidus Worm that Stephano can't see? It does look like these Locusts will get some free kills there. And I honestly, in watching this, usually I can give a perspective on what a Zerg player can do. I am at a loss for words. I don't know exactly what can be done here to deal with Stephano's playstyle. If you let him get the macro mode rolling, if you let him get all those spine crawlers up and running, then how do you deal with it? You basically just have to out-Broodlord him, I suppose. But the main problem is that if you send all your units to their death to free up some supply, then Stephano's just going to counterattack with all the stuff. He's going to push with the spine crawlers. The creep is almost touching. Honestly, for Lowko, I think it's a bad idea to spread creep here. I think he's doing it because of his Hydras and Roaches. They move so slowly off of the creep, but I guess the Hydras not so much. But either way, I think that creep is going to come back to bite him, just because the amount of spine crawlers here, they could actually push forward as their own unit, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. What's also ridiculous to think about is that these players have 5,000 minerals and about 2,000 gas in the stockpile, and may end up losing this one hatchery. This is going to be a Ling v Ling battle, and it does look like the hatchery will go down. One transfuse trying to save it. Stephano did lose quite a few Lings there, but honestly, it's just freeing up supply for more Zerglings. He's got so much money that those units are basically free. Those units are like less than free. These are basically the interest Zerglings, where he has so much money in the Zergling bank. These are the Zerglings that the bank gives to him for free for having so many Zerglings. And so killing those off, not actually that big of a deal. And at this point, I mean, he's still got Roaches, still got Zerglings. Both players going to be working on a lot of upgrades here. Looks like Stephano just trying to do another counterattack. It's not really going to be doing all that much, and it does end up losing a couple of Lings. But again, these are the interest Lings, so you can afford to lose these. And they don't really have to pay for themselves whatsoever. You can see Stephano's already maxed out, so even though he lost those, he's like, okay, well, I'll replace those Zerglings with 5 Broodlords. So obviously that's part of his plan here. The Infestor's going to be coming forward. He's got to be so careful of the Fungals. Does eat that one Fungal right there. One more Fungal going to be finishing those off. I don't know if Fungling those Roaches is even worth it. That's only 4 Roaches there, which he knows that honestly the supply in those Roaches is probably hurting his opponent more than helping him. If he you know, if he were to kill those, that would free up more supply. But it does look like Stephano finally moving out. And honestly, this is the way you have to play Zerg in other matchups. You have to play the Defender style, you have to play the Cautious style, and you have to pick your engagements, where eventually you do have to kill your opponent. But both these players are so scared of each other that they haven't been able to engage directly in the center of the map just yet. Now again, the Locusts just do so much damage, it's actually absurd. We'll see if it's going to be enough here to deal with this army right now, as both players are maxed out. Take a look at the army supply tab. Uh-oh, what are you guys doing? Roach is trying to intercept the Infestors. Killing Infestors is always nice. There's the army supply. It is exactly tied, although not after those Broodlords take out those Roaches, I bet. But considering that he is going to be taking out a hatchery at the same time, though, he could be losing his own hatchery over here on the right side. Both players now itching to try and jockey for position here on the map. Got to be chasing down those Infestors. That is so many Broodlords. That is disgusting. literally the most disgusting thing I think I've ever seen. The hatchery going to be falling on the right side as Lowko able to deny a base of his own. Overall units lost way favoring Stephano. I don't really know how you can even deal with this many Broodlords, but either way, this game speaks volumes about how to play ZvZ if you want to play a more macro style. You just got to defend. Don't necessarily worry about getting maxed out as quickly as possible. It does look like Lowko, though, has some Broodlords of his own. So we're going to be having SkyZerg versus SkyZerg, 13 Broodlords versus 11 Broodlords for Lowko. All of a sudden, he is back in this game. He does have to watch out for a couple of Zerglings counterattacking down here. Look like the Spine Crawler should be able to clean that up, although Zerglings are so fast and so slippery that they are quite annoying. And those look like he can eventually clean those tiny little guys up. But again, both players, 7,300 minerals in the bank for Stephano, not to mention his 2,500 gas. Now Lowko, since he's been losing so much, doesn't have nearly as much gas in the bank. But he is going to be going ahead and redoubling up on his expansions here. His income, though, is suffering heavily, and Stephano is just getting more and more bankroll right now. So moving forward, I think it's going to be really tough for Lowko to be able to do all that much, although attacking these spines would finally be of huge benefit to him because he can get out those Broodlings as quickly as possible, and he just needs to be careful with his Broodlords. He doesn't have to worry about too much splash damage, and the Broodlings right there are going to try and take out the... Oh, God, this is where ZvZ just gets ridiculous, where it's Broodling versus Broodling. Here comes the Corruptors. Got to be attacking right now, and really it just comes down to who's got the better upgrades and who's got more stuff. Keep an eye on the supplies here. It does look like the Corruptor's got to be pushing forward here for Lowko. Now's his chance to kill off these Broodlords. He needs to split up those Corruptors, though, so he doesn't end up losing them. He doesn't got to completely dominate the skies with his Corruptor count. Really nothing that Stephano can really do here, as the Broodlords right now for Lowko are going to be pushing forward. Was that a cost-effective engagement? Yes, it was, all things considered. I don't know if he has enough to continue pushing forward, though, to end this game, because he needs to kill off those Infestors before they throw out more Infested Terrans, before they throw out those Fungals. It looks like he's going to go straight for the Queens instead. A bold move there, but the creep is now officially touching for both of these players, so the two bases are connected, and the Overseer is going to be catching a glimpse of everything that's going on. Lowko, though, making the name for himself right here, right now, trying to make this attack work. Looks like he will be able to kill off another Infestor, somehow getting enough Corruptors out in the skies to continue dominating them. And taking a look at the units tab, overall 10 Broodlords and 32 Corruptors. There's actually no way that Stephano can deal with that other than counterattacks. Counterattacks is actually exactly what he needs to do. A huge read here by Stephano, realizing that there's so much in the air that there's actually nothing on the ground to defend. So we could be seeing a base race scenario. Broodlords do a lot of damage and are actually going to be denying that +3 attack melee upgrade. The Corruptor's going to be pushing forward as well. Still eating 1 or 2 Fungals, but Corruptors have so much HP it doesn't actually matter. And unfortunately for Lowko, he's given up his main base and natural in third. And more Zerglings are on the way. He needs to fall back with something, but he doesn't have anything on the ground that can actually deal with that. Take a look at the units tab. We only have 34 lings for Stephano, which is not even that much, but it is still enough to deny this main base. I don't know where the Swarm Hosts are. There they are, just chilling out. They haven't actually done anything this entire game. It does look like the Broodlord count, though, is a lot lower than it used to be, just down to 5 Broodlords, which is enough to kill off a lot of this stuff. But without anything back in his main base to defend, he's got to win with what he's got, and unfortunately, he doesn't got a whole lot anymore. It is 106 supply now to 180, continuing to push forward, but that eventually is going to be it for those Broodlords. The Fungal there, notice how he used the Fungal to deny the Corruptors from being able to protect those Broodlords, and it does look like Stephano right now going to be pulling way ahead. He's about 100 supply ahead, and this is where he dumps all of his money, and there's the GG. Well played from Lowko, as the Hive Tech is going to get taken out. I mean, there was really no backup plan after all that, as I think he just expected, or basically, not necessarily expected, but he knew that that attack had to do a lot more damage. And honestly, if he just didn't have that one mishap with his Mutalisks, the units lost would have been much more even, and then these resources would have been much more even. But that does go to show you that even though the Infestor got nerfed, it is still very good versus Mutalisks. So definitely something to keep in mind there if you find yourself in a ZvZ. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Remember that Heart of the Swarm comes out very soon, less than a month to go. There's going to be launch parties. There's some special live stream thing for StarCraft. I have no idea what it is. And yeah, lots of cool stuff coming. I think it's going to be kind of StarCraft Second Wind. And remember also, if you didn't watch my other videos, now on Wings of Liberty, there's unranked play and all sorts of good stuff. Go join the group HuskyStarcraft. You just browse for the groups, or you can type in HuskyStarcraft to find it, and go play some games with fellow StarCraft enthusiasts. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time.